Welcome to Euroforum UG, where we address Ugandans from Europe, USA, Asia, Africa, Australia, and all over the globe. We share experiences, opinions, and expertise on current affairs, educative lifestyle, religion, and family matters. Follow, subscribe, and like our social media platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok at Euroforum UG. You can also join our live shows every weekend on our social media platforms. For more information, visit our social media platforms or email us at euroforumug@gmail.com or WhatsApp us on +4740 574040. Euroforum UG, communicating with peers.
Bright good afternoon, good morning to you in the States. This is Euroforum, where I communicate with peers. Moses Mugisha is your host today, right here in Oslo, Norway. We have another pleasure and opportunity to be of service to you. Today on the 3rd of August, we come to you to take another stride into adding a brick to this great vision called Euroforum, where we come to speak with peers, interact with peers, and share stories, inspirations, and pick your thoughts on a couple of topics of interaction. Today, I come to you with a panel of 3 amazing gentlemen to navigate a question of how involved or to what extent are immigrants involved in the politics of their countries of residence. This might have different answers based on personal experiences and places of residence, but we also know that there are facts underlying this kind of question. Of course, statistics has it all. How far have Africans, Asians, natives of different countries have participated directly or even taken up positions of leadership in politics in the different countries? I'm honored to have a panel of a gentleman from Kentucky in the US, 2 gentlemen from Copenhagen, Denmark, where we shall be interacting and sharing experiences. I want to invite you all to also join this panel where you are and share your experience, share your interaction, and give us your thoughts. You could as well interact with us on our WhatsApp number on the screen there, or drop a comment in the comment section. Share with us, how is it that side? During my first year in Norway here, we was at a certain a conference where the tutor or the instructor sarcastically asked, it was a session prompting us to join leadership and service in that small area where we were. But sadly, not so many of us adhere to the call. And he sarcastically said, it is quite amazing that statistics has it that so many immigrants are here as political refugees. But when we raise a call to invite them on board to serve in areas of leadership, you don't see so many. Of course, you could pick a line and know exactly what he meant by that. But again, now we are here. We want to share experiences to know Bilivicha side here. With that said, I want to introduce to you my very amazing panel with a gentleman who has frequented this studio here. Peter Antende, several times he has been here, and the last time he was here, he was speaking on behalf of Oceans Hub. Oceans Hub will tell us more of what it entails. But Sebo, so delighted to have you again. Sebo, greet our viewers as we sail on.
Hello, viewers. Thank you so much for having me again. Thank you, our host, Mr. Mugisha and Euroforum, for hosting me once again to share some thoughts with our viewers. And as usual, it's sharing our perspectives to make sure that we have our community more informed and more united. So I look forward to the discussion.
So, thank you. He's the CEO of Oceans Hub. Oceans Hub seeks to unite Ugandans in the Nordics, particularly based in the Nordics, but as well opening up borders to the different countries in Europe. They have a mission guided as of now by having a joint investment project that you share on later on as we sail through the show. But here we want to prompt our thoughts and experiences of how we see things in our countries of residence, in line with the involvement of typical immigrants in leadership or in politics or in general elections. With me, I said I have Musa Mawanda Omulangira, residing somewhere in the US in Kentucky. Sebo, glad to have you again, Sebo. May you greet our viewers.
To everyone viewing for inviting me on this panel to discuss my thinking or my observation in particular. I'm looking forward to the discussion.
Thank you, Sebo. The network seems to be doing some malice, but I think we are stronger than the malice it is pulling off. That is Musa Mawanda, one of us, Ugandan living in the US. Again with me, I have Smogy John Remy, aka Omusajja Wakakofira, but not the other one. He's a host on Euroforum, who you often see here. This time he's switching places where he's coming in as a guest, and I know he's humble enough to be calm and be led through the process. Sebo, nsanyusa okulaba, may you Sebo greet your viewers.
Yes, I'm really humbled and privileged to be on this side of the panel where I'm also supposed to get my experience by the little I may share, and also to learn from my panelists, fellow panelists, and to the viewers. Just encourage you to keep on also giving your opinions. Indeed, it's quite paramount for us if you also share and then the link to others, so that it can be so much inclusive discussion. But that aside, good evening, yours, aka Smogy, Denmark.
Thank you, Smogy. We have a representation from Norway. Denmark is twice represented, and we have the US, the other side of Trump. So we are here. The question to you, our viewers, is to what extent are immigrants involved in the politics of their countries of residence? Speaking of immigrants, so this time we want to really narrow it down to our fellow Ugandans. Speaking for Norway, next month on the 8th of September, we shall be having our general elections. Here, elections are carried out after 4 years. And we have two segments of elections. We have what we call the local elections at the municipality level. And then after 4 years, we carry out the general elections where we elect MPs who in turn elect the Prime Minister. This question is prompted by a couple of experiences and research that was carried out after the elections. In 2021, there is a report that was compiled, and it was majorly targeting immigrants. In this report, it echoes that 50% of immigrants with voting rights were not able to vote. Able could be the word, but did not vote. Why? Those are some of the reasons we want to navigate in this show. And speaking of 50%, this 50% represents, actually it's 50% of the 965,113 immigrants in Norway. So of these, 50% did not vote. Why? Those are some of the questions we want to navigate in this show. But I also want to share a picture of what we mean by immigrants. Because of course, when we say immigrants, now speaking of Uganda in particular, because we don't want to be all over. Uganda in particular, in Norway, we have Ugandans in different categories. These are categorized as both first generation and second generation. But also, there is small categories of Ugandans in those two big categories. In total, according to SSB, that is the Statistics Bureau of Norway. In Uganda, it is the UBOS, Uganda Bureau of Statistics. In Norway, it's a Statistics Central Bureau that has the statistics on a range of things happening in Norway. Now, these are the facts. The last I checked, last implying today. As per today, we have 2,743 registered Ugandans in Norway under the category of immigrants. Then we have Ugandans born in Norway to Norwegian-born parents. Those are 129. Norwegian-born, there is a category of Norwegian-born to immigrant parents. Those are 388 Ugandans. That's the category where my children and those in my category lie. Then there is a group foreign-born with one Norwegian-born parent. Those are 57. Then there is a category Norwegian-born with one foreign-born parent. That's 593. That's, I think, the biggest category where one parent is a Ugandan married to a Norwegian, or in the different countries in that context. Then there is this very special group, foreign-born to Norwegian-born parents. I think that's a rare one, and there are only 13. So that could, in interpretation, that could imply that my daughter who is born here gets married to another boy who is born here, and they give birth to a child away from Norway. So, but those figures all represent Ugandans. So speaking of Ugandans, we are speaking of those particular figures. The very quick one representing Ugandan under the category of immigrants is 2,743. So going by the statistics as per 2021, 50% of the entire immigrant population did not vote. But also it goes further to break it down, that of these 50%, the biggest number were Africans. Now, that's where our question comes in, that to what extent are immigrants involved in the politics of your country? It's a question of your observation. Then we shall interpret our observations and definitely give a way forward. Because to me, this is alarming, having 50% of immigrants not voting. But we also know that there is so much we want to have changed, to have done our way. But how can we do that without getting involved? It's a question of discussion. I want to invite you on board to give your opinions. You're watching us. Your opinions could come in the comment section, but also on the number pinned on the screen. I want to start with you, Peter Ntende. You're living in the DK. You are a leader. You've been there for some years. To what extent are Ugandans involved in the politics of Denmark?
Thank you very much, Sebo. So, over the years, the African community and Ugandans in the voting process of Denmark. And I think it started mostly with the social media stuff when it came up. But also, I think towards the time when like the right-wingers in Denmark took a bit more of a central role when immigration started being the determinant factor of choosing a government. So I think we became slightly aware that the next prime minister of government, which won, was indirectly chosen by the people who were against the minorities. And I think this somehow encouraged many Ugandans. We have some very good activists, like in the names of Mary Consolata. And then we have another honorable member now of the municipality, Honorable Igo, who has been voted several times. So these community leaders managed to show us that there is some power in trying to influence what is happening within Denmark. But this is something very recent. The trend had been very similar to what is happening, I think, in Norway, and also I think in Sweden. Just that the right-wing movements are more active now in Sweden and in Norway. Actually, in Sweden, I think the current government also has been mostly winning because of this. And this, in a way, I think is a result of us being reactive. As immigrants, by default, when we land in societies like this, we tend to be more reactive of what is coming up. It takes time for us to feel like we are part of the society and to feel like, yes, this is our position and what should we do? And this kind of feeling, I think, it comes back to the communities not being together and not having channels and platforms of sharing information. So people feel like they are outside of the information of what is happening, and then don't feel like they are represented, and they don't feel like their voices are being heard. And this is actually, I think, something we need to work on more in Denmark, because now we have seen that we have representatives, but we can have even more representatives who are coming up, because Denmark, we are certainly almost 3 times the number of Ugandans who are in Norway. So we can have a big influence. And given the number of representatives who have been voted into office, there was a case where, like, one of my friends he's from Ghana. He was supposed to be voted into Copenhagen municipality, and he came along, within all the groups and tried to get the votes, but he ended up losing like 3 times, and the only difference was about 17 or 13 votes for him to come into parliament and not come into parliament. And then he had to wait another 3 years. Luckily, last year, not the last election, not last year, he managed to beat that. He was very consistent in his struggle. So this is where it seems that because we don't share this information, you end up feeling that sometimes you don't know that even when you're not within the municipality, you have a chance to vote for that party or for your leader and give your personal vote. So the voting process sometimes is not well explained what is happening. And I think this also has to do with some of the things which really matter to us. I think a good example would be what is happening right now, because we are trying so much, as you mentioned, to bring more financial awareness. And I'm happy that most of the people within our community are looking forward to having this community where we share economic information. Because if you have noticed what was happening last month, I think Mulangira Mawanda will try to enlighten us more. In the US, a very interesting law was passed, an act called the Genius Act. And this Genius Act was almost legalizing something called stable coins. And I will not go so much in detail today, but what I know is that when we talk about stable coins, when we talk about blockchain, when we talk about Bitcoin, when we talk about crypto, these are issues which are very complex, but are coming to affect us in ways which we might not be even aware of. In the US turned out the way it was. And no matter what happens is that we get carried away with the politics and not the financial part of the politics which is happening. And for me, what usually matters is the financial impact of my vote. And I don't mind which party is coming in power, but if it's affecting my economic situation, this is where like we have to enlighten our people and we say, you know what, these people, when they come to power, if they have policies, even if it is social politics, the policies which are against the immigrants, it will affect you, how you are treated in the job market. It will affect how you are treated in the bank. It will affect your perception of yourself and your well-being. And these issues, in the end, affect your financial well-being. So this is why we need to enlighten ourselves and say, okay, what is coming up? Because the environment right now, we need to position ourselves to be more proactive than being reactive. Because if we are proactive, how can we position ourselves? How can we make our community a bit aware to take opportunities which are going to come up within the stable coins and cryptocurrency? I think if you are following what is happening in Uganda, the news over there is that I think 20 billion shillings was lost by Ugandans in cryptocurrency. And you might not put this together in connection with how people are voting. But if you can't have legislation and parties which are making these regulations, you end up people losing a lot of money. And this is where it comes back to us that in the Nordics, in Denmark, once the voting comes up, once we become more economical aware of what is affecting us and how to position ourselves for the opportunities which are knocking on the door, this is where our votes matter. And this is where I think that this conversation is really important. We have almost a month for the Norwegian elections. Elections, exactly. So I hope we can encourage our members to vote for the opportunities which will help the community. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So it's more like a default setting to many people in the diaspora when it comes to politics in Uganda. People know it's just a given. It's my obligation to participate. And of course, I've also seen people rubbing shoulders and going at loggerheads with each other. Actually, even many of us here burn bridges because we feel someone is silent about what's going on in our home country. That's very much understandable. Yes, but again, we have two homes. We have a home in France, for those living in France, a home in Denmark, wherever you live. And we have a home, place of origin, where we came from. So the question is, how will you give from an empty cup? I mean, we have so much we would love to have changed. Speaking from personal experience, in the kindergarten where my daughter goes, the board that runs the kindergarten is voted or elected every year. Sorry, every after 2 years. So I was approached and asked if I would love to join the board. Of course, I did the formality of let me think about it, but I had nothing to think about. I mean, these are the things I really love. I don't want to complain from behind. I just want, if I have the opportunity of getting there, to be one of those who determine, okay, when should the children be picked, what should be done, how this should be done. Of course, there is so much. So speaking from those small, even at a small scale of as low as being on the board of the school where your child goes. Of course, that's not low, but I'm starting with small things to echo out that it is a cardinal responsibility for people to vote, for people to participate in the politics or in the leadership of the different settings in the countries of residence. But anyway, let's hear from Smoggy, John Remy. So, Omusajja Mudeni, how is it that side? What is your experience?
Experience will be there, but then when Peter does everything, you feel like he has exhausted whatever he wanted to say. Actually, it was unfair.
That's his experience.
It was unfair to have an experience. I mean, to have two people from Denmark. But then again, maybe I should take another path. But to the viewers, once again, welcome. And in the perception of elections, we can't run away from politics itself, because really politics determines the well-being of the financial, social, being of any given society. Inclusive is also with the immigrants, wherever we are. But I believe the failures as to why we tend to fail, the reason as to why we tend to fail to involve, there are also challenges of which some are personal, and then on the other hand, at times it's because of the systems have not, given us the opportunities to get involved. Case in point, general elections, I think they're coming in October. That should be next year in October, around the 5th, 2026. Yeah, and people without papers, definitely you blame them, and because there is also conditions, who is supposed to vote. But then again, those who have the ability to do it, we have to engage into these processes, because it's one of these electoral processes, one of the cardinal areas that give us these opportunities of integration. So to get fully integrated, definitely in the election part of it, you have to be into it. And we should run away, those who have opportunities, I believe we should run away from building, walls. We need to build bridges to connect into the whole system. So while Bwana Peter is saying, yes, we are not engaging fully, yet we made, but sometimes for me, I'll be considerate to those who haven't yet engaged, those who don't really qualify. And then again, we have to ask ourselves, why don't we put also efforts to do this? But the cases of, the reasons were in foreign countries, of which foreign languages are involved in these foreign countries. Definitely, if you're not very certain with the language, chances are high people are very hesitant to get involved into the system, whole system of elections, things like that. And like I said, also the resident permit, your status also may matter so much into your inclusiveness into the whole system. Away from this personal element where you're just should I say naive, or you don't go an extra mile to get involved into the system. But sometimes people are really affected. They would love to, but then because their status is not qualifying them to engage, so it becomes a challenge. And then there's this other issue I always look into, that as immigrants, normally the people we meet in the beginning when we come in, they tend to determine much on how we are going to progress. So most cases, if you land in a society which is not inclusive, case in point where electoral processes are echoed around, what do you expect? You may just take things for granted like that, and then you're not involved. So sometimes who the people we meet may also bring that element of minding less about the whole electoral processes. And then there are also challenges. They can be individuals where you have too much baggage from back home, that you have less to get involved into the whole system. But it still it comes in as a challenge that we need to pull our socks so that we get involved into the whole system. Because if we decided to come here to stay, let's make home wherever we go. I'm always believing into the tortoise mentality, where you have to move with your home. You decide to leave home, they get involved with the whole system. But then again, in these processes, you may find that the people who I would blame so much not to involve into the electoral processes, those who are having all the opportunities, the people look into mostly people look like, for example, I would say we have the privileged immigrants, people who are having, education, a skill, those who are skilled, people who are like, having your PhD, having education. Basically, you're privileged and you're fully engaged. I would always prefer that they do more, engagement, more research on what values they're supposed to see in. I mean, what values they have to do too much research on the values of these countries, so that maybe they can also do the enlightenment to their fellow immigrants, those who are not very certain. So I always encourage those who are privileged, where need be, get involved into the small communities, and then at least we can push it and then we get more awareness. Otherwise, when it comes to immigration, when it comes to we, the immigrants, when it comes to um, elections, we're still doing bad. We just need to pull out our socks so that we see that we're inclusive. Because if we don't involve into this, then how will our concerns, the interest or interests be, reflected? So as we think of the numbers which are also affecting us, because by default, yes, our numbers are still little to create an impact. But then again, if we don't show it, then we're really doing so much injustice to us. But for now, let me just.
Thank you, Sebo. Speaking of immigrants who don't have the opportunity to vote, the statistics I read from the Norwegian Statistics Central Bureau reflect a total of immigrants, which is 965,113.
Wow.
That's the total. And 300 of those have voting rights. But unfortunately, 50% of those never voted. So I think where you mentioned that so, and we are speaking of Norway with a population of around 6 million people. So it becomes really hard to argue out your point when you when you think that you're too busy to even vote, leave alone you participating or wanting to take leadership. But I mean, someone else you think who cause the change you want to see, you don't even have time to vote them. So I totally agree with you that there is an information gap. And but do you think, Smoggy, it could have something to say about, because you mentioned that there is a category who are privileged, who seem to have it all. Could it be rather counterproductive that them being so privileged gives them some sort of comfort, that they see no reason to engage in such? Because, I mean, could it have something to say?
Well, most cases where I'm looking at those people who are privileged, that means elections or politics determines also your privilege, your comfort zone. So if you don't work on it, still also that your state at some moment maybe will vanish.
Definitely.
So you have to also get so much engaged, maybe get even more opportunities. But there is also another issue which I just left out, just in the interest of time. It's about this social media, political discussions. Because now we've seen the power of social media and how it has changed the political narrative. Very many people have been, a lot of actually political issues or elections, they're being influenced by social media. So, and even information is still there. Much as you may blame people not to get involved, but at least also your opinions can be heard on social media. Speak it out, leave it there. People are seeing a lot of ideas. So inclusiveness can also be on social media, on those political discussions, or it can be on electoral opinions and things like that. So I leave it there for now.
Thank you, Smoggy. With that said, want to take this opportunity to call upon you all Ugandans living in Norway to embrace the voting session. That's on the 8th of September. Sorry, yes, 8th of September. But here in Norway, voting starts a little earlier than the general date of voting. So please create time to impact, to be part of the process. You want to see that will change the things that you feel need to be changed. There, like I mentioned in the start, there are 2,743 registered immigrants, Ugandan immigrants in Norway, but those are only the category of immigrants. In total, when you sum up the different categories, including the children born here, parent Norwegian and mother Ugandan, yes, when you sum them up, it comes to a total of around 3,800 Ugandans. But it could be only section, like 500 who have voting rights. Use those rights and make the change you want to see. Let me sail up the other side of the US, Kentucky, where I'm meeting my brother, Musa Mawanda, to also share his experience. Could it be that most Ugandans participated in the elections we witnessed where Mr. Trump is currently warming the seat over Tebachirimu? What is your experience, Sebo?
Thank you, Mr. Mugisha, for having me on this panel. It was about politics, and mainly in this country. So, like you said, as immigrants, talked about all the challenges we face and why we don't get involved so much in politics. The country that you are home, away from home, what's like, why are you here? Many of us came to be like, oh, I want to be a politician here, and that's the task. I need to make the money, I need to take care of my family back home, and I need to take care of me. When are you eligible to vote? Mainly in elections that really affect that financial stability or anything like that. When you get to a country in the US, you can only vote for president. And if you know how long it can take someone to become a citizen. So for example, if it will take you maybe, are you still having that motivation that I'm gonna be involved so much in politics? You need to take care of. So I've observed, I don't think I've had any Ugandan or politics so much, but see a lot of it on social media, news, and everything like that. So the eligibility why we do not get involved in politics, because it takes us long to become citizens of a country. Then you're either gonna be a Democrat or you're gonna be a Republican. Being a two-party system, the whole country is, example, the state I'm in is technically a Republican state. So if I'm an immigrant and which is like 99% Republican, I do not think my vote is gonna matter so much. It carries a different weight on the electoral votes. So here it's not like the majority win. For example, if I'm in Kentucky and our state only has 2 electoral votes, we contribute to the. Then you have someone in California and their state carries a weight of 23 votes. So you're like, you have California that carries 23 votes. So you are like, what effect am I gonna call? I think you guys hear about it on social media and everything about like swing states. Oh, this state is so important. The president goes there to campaign, like never show up to some state. An example is my state. We've never had a president come here to campaign. If one of the runners in the presidential election is a Republican, he knows that state is already taken by Republicans, so go over there to campaign. Where do they go? To the swing states, California, Georgia. Those are states that they carry. It's like technically they have a bigger chance of becoming the president. So they'll campaign over there 15 years to become a citizen. Now I have the voting rights. I can vote. But I'm in a state which doesn't carry so much weight, this involved in politics. And then another thing like that's like the impact of your vote. If you look at it here, it's nonsense for you, which is different from maybe in most countries, like where the majority. And you guys talked about all these as challenges why we don't get involved in politics. This is what affects more like our financial stability, what affects like our health care, what affects all other big stuff. And if you want to get involved in local elections, it's like, okay, I'm gonna be on a school board. What am I gonna change? Be involved in politics. But most of it is like people get carried away. Oh, we come here, we just take care of my family. I don't need to get involved in this. And then part of that is like the country we are from. It's not advisable for you to be that involved in politics. Get involved in politics, you get in trouble, or you might. So when we get here, we still have that mentality or the thinking that we don't need to get. So that is my submission, and I've listened to very great points like the past two panelists made. There are really valid reasons why Ugandans, particularly, we do not get in politics.
Yes, so thank you so much. Of course, I have three great men here who have a very wide spectrum of reflection. When they share experiences and their perspectives on things is usually echoing something that represents masses behind them. So thank you for voicing out what is really happening there in the US. like you said, you're speaking for Kentucky, and it is quite surprising for me to hear that it's your state is one where candidates rarely come to campaign. Of course, and this embraces and further emphasizes the fact that we create such platforms for people to share experiences. Oftentimes we speak guided by hearsay, nawulira gundi ndowooza gundi yagamba. But when one shares an experience, more so on such a platform where someone knows that thousands of people will listen, it's usually credible experience and credible knowledge. So thank you, Smoggy, thank you, so Peter Antende. This show is meant to be a brief one. I know there is a viewer out there watching us and wondering why Peter Antende in Uganda, Mulangira Mulamba Mawanda, Simogi, Senyangi Musajja Muganda, and this Mugisha also speaks Luganda. Why can't you speak Luganda? Yes, we always make it clear here that we embrace the fact that Uganda is a rich country, blessed with so many cultures and languages. So in the interest of inclusion, we always borrow the line of English. And this particular show has been guided in English, and we hope that those who feel so patriotic in Uganda are not offended. I also want to bring it to your attention that on the 17th, we shall be hosting a gentleman with he's a gentleman with a Congolese, he's a Congolese who was raised in Uganda. Mufano Heretia Mumanyinga Alan. Yes, Musaja, he has made an impact. He has lived in Norway so far for less than 5 years. But his impact is inspiring not only those who are fresh in Norway, but even those who are already citizens in Norway. On the 17th, mark the date and tune in to watch and listen to this great man, aka he calls himself, he's a very good brand on TikTok with a very funny and catchy voice. And he usually creates videos and says, I'm missing out on the phrase he usually uses. But anyway, you should tune in and mark of the date. 17th, we shall be having this Mufano Heretier, a Congolese who is very proud of Uganda and is very passionate of integration. And this topic will add something to it, where I'll also speak from personal experience. He has walked miles in line with integration and is very active, and he has pulled many of us to get our feet into the politics of Norway. So, as we wind up, I invite you to drop your comments, share your experiences from wherever you live. How are Ugandans involved in politics there? Biribitia, do you have any MPs there? Tuwenga tweyigirako. So, Peter Antende.
Yes, sir.
Yes, about a month ago, that was on the 30th of June, you engineered a very successful conversion in Stockholm, where so many fruits were evident. But you also ran a voting session here and on many other platforms where people are voting on a certain joint project. In just a minute, let me know the results of that voting project. Omanyi hawks nyingi nnyo social media. You come here and say things and you never give us the outcome. So, how did it go and what is the way forward past that?
Thank you, Sebo. Yeah, I want to go to that. I don't know if you can share my screen, but I wanted to show the data as it is, so that people can see what happened. So I want to thank the people who participated actually in this voting, because this is also one way of trying to show that our actions matter a lot. So we did not announce the voting and the campaigns for a very long time. It was just like maybe one day. And then we started going along when people are voting for 30 days. And we got a total of 265 votes. 25 were physical, and then 240 were online votes. and people voted up to the last hour. So the leading project which people really voted for is the Financial Empowerment Coaching Program. And this one got a total of 102 votes, mostly 98. And this has been quite interesting because then people called in asking and expressing their interest in such a program. So it was really interesting to see that, okay, people have had this thought. It's not something which is just dropping in. And currently, we did not do the announcement within maybe the 48 hours because we did not have all the channels with everybody who wanted to know. But at least we know that everybody who can vote could come in here. And actually, people tried to vote afterwards who got the message late. And we have made it that, you can stay updated on what's going to come. Just fill in your details here, and then we shall keep you updated. But what is happening is that we are right now negotiating with some of our partners like Stanbic Bank to see where they'll come in. We are trying to talk to different financial experts who could be there to help us to be doing the coaching. And mostly this is not going to be like real financial advice because we are not regulated financially or licensed, but it's going to be like a financial education and sharing our knowledge, particularly for the community as we are, because you'll find out that most of the financial information out there is targeted to certain groups of people. When you go online, you'll hear somebody who is talking about financial empowerment when that person is talking for Indian communities. When somebody is talking for maybe Danish communities or Swedish communities. And much as we are part of the communities, I think this one, resonates well with what Omlangira was saying. Now you can be in the community, but you feel like you are halfway in the community. So the information which people throw out, you feel like it doesn't resonate with you. They talk to you, and you say you are in America, you are an American, you have all the documents, but actually the information doesn't resonate at all with you. And this is something which usually also happens with the financial information which we get, even from our banker, whatever, advisors. They can tell you information which doesn't really resonate with you. They can ask you, why do you send all this money back home? And people will say, why is this happening? Like you could go and you try to see how many of us are underbanked. Like we have bank accounts, luckily, but most of us don't get the financial services which we deserve. So what happens is that we end up getting terrible financial deals, like loans which are payday loans, where like the interest rate is so high. So this kind of information is the kind of information I think we'll be trying to share. How could we navigate these traps, which usually are targeted to us? Because there are a lot of financial sharks there who are targeting our vulnerability, especially our lack of cohesion to share this kind of information. So the program is going to be launched on the 16th of this month. We expect to be both physical and online. Then we'll just be launching that. And we have a number of interesting presenters who are going to be sharing this knowledge with us. And as the program progresses, it will develop more into...
Yes, Peter, you have 30 seconds there.
30 seconds. Yes, Sebo.
Yes, sir.
As it develops, we'll be sharing more information and then more personalized information. But the most important thing is that we are going to take a mark of where we start when you start the program. And within 1 year, we want to see that people who will be part of the program will have noticed some financial progress. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. You watching us, this is in the next 5 minutes, we shall be winding up this conversation. But in case you join it late, this has been a conversation around a question, getting experiences and answers as to why immigrants in the different countries are not that much involved in the politics of their countries. Of course, immigrants, but we narrow it down to Ugandans as we need to be more intentional and speak to create a difference. Yes, it's next year. It's elections in Uganda, and definitely when you watch on social media, there is so much happening, and you see involvement and engagement. Yes, top notch and thumbs up to us all. But there is a pending. There is a vacuum somewhere. Where you live, where you have children, how much are you involved? That is a personal question, but we shall not just leave it to individuals. Using these platforms, we shall not overlook the fact that we need to remind us, we need to encourage you all out there to get involved. Here in Norway, it's less than a month when voting will start. Please create time, tap into the information, and get to know how things are yet to happen in Norway. I want to give it back to you, Omulangira, to give us your last word of this show, Sebo. What is it? You've rotated your camera. Could you?
Thank you, Mr. Mugisha.
Yes, Mawanda. Your camera is you maybe you need to activate or to rotate. Yes, thank you. Sebo, take it on.
This has been really informative. And I think, like you said, we need to try involved in politics. And I've heard all the panelists encouraging all Ugandans not to stay in our lane, but we may need to think here when you are an immigrant in a country. Do you have the time? And try to get involved in politics and to see in the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sebo. That's Musa Mawanda. Sebo, we shall be back with Musa Mawanda on the 24th, where we shall be, now it will be one-on-one with him. This gentleman here is a nurse practitioner. He's one of the Ugandans out there who hold the Uganda flag up to grab the opportunities that are there, get education there, penetrate the job market. And I know it wasn't a bed of roses. There must have been hustles here and there. We want to tap into that experience as we share your story so that people like me, people like someone watching us there could get inspired. There is this Mboziza Marwa, this discouraging conversations. To Sovola and also much you cannot break even, you cannot penetrate this and the other. Some people have made it. How have they made it? It will be the show on the 24th. Sebo, thank you for your time. We shall fly back here to my neighborhood in Copenhagen to get the last take of Smoggy John Remy, my partner in your forum, my friend with whom we make things happen here on Euroforum. Sebo, your last word as we wind up.
As we wind up, just looking at very many things. You know, immigration, when it comes to here in Scandinavian, or the immigrants, the question of immigrants is so much an issue when it comes to the politics or the elections here. It's so much a determinant. And I really concur with what Mr. Peter Tete said. But then the inclusive of us into these electoral processes in these host countries, it reflects so much the diverse, area of engagement and influence. But then again, some other countries, this may not be a question. If you look at our brothers and sisters in the Arab world, where they're not entitled to have, citizenship, things like that, don't expect them to be involved into their politics. So much as we would love to, but there's some other countries, due to their nature, their structure set up in the electoral processes, they don't include foreigners. So it's a question which is really so much challenging. But at the end of it all, those who have the advantage to go into these electoral processes, please try to engage into it. Your right to vote determines, for example, like here in Scandinavian or Denmark, your vote to vote is determined by basically the nature of the election or your citizenship. But I also go ahead by encouraging, if you have the advantage to vote, please engage into it. And in any case, you don't have, still, you can get involved by supporting the candidates. Supporting the candidates who are who have stood out is very simple. Donations can work. You can do voluntarily work for this person. Still, you're getting engaged into the electoral processes by supporting that person, involved in the grassroots, engagement and things like that. But besides that, a big challenge is still in with the immigrants, yet the immigrants or immigration question is quite a question when it comes to politics or when it comes to election processes here in the Scandinavia. Given that, I would love to say thank you very much, and also to my panelists, fellow panelists.
Thank you, Smogi. That very line of putting into consideration our brothers or sisters who don't have voting rights, it's pretty much understandable, and we don't want to sound insensitive. We are acknowledging that it's more like posing a question of why immigrants don't grab the opportunities to study. So that question is not usually blind. It considers and it appreciates the fact that there is a section of immigrants who don't even have permission to stay in those countries. So, in as much as one doesn't open it up on the surface, but it considers that we are not discussing those that don't even have a right to stay in the countries of residence. But in general, yes, it's one thing we need to embrace. If, like you said, if you have an opportunity to do that. So, Peter Antende, your last take on this show before we let our viewers go. Sebo.
Yes, Sebo. I just want to thank the panelists. I think it has been very informative to learn from what's happening, even the perspective of my neighbor here. I think it's really nice sharing, but also like the details from Norway and also the surprises from the US in our community. I think this is really informative, and I hope our viewers will also find it informative. I just want to thank our viewers, and I hope they stay tuned in for the next interesting shows, especially with Mulangira Mawanda. I look forward to that show on the 24th.
Thank you so much, Sebo. We shall hold it here for now. The link I've pinned on the screen. It's the link for those of you living in Norway, and of course, open it to everyone, because I would definitely very much want to know how things function in the US, how things function in New Zealand, how things function in Brazil. So that's for you who is interested in knowing the statistics of the cores of the Norwegian system. The website is there, www.ssb.no. It's in Norwegian, but you have an option to switch it in English. Mulabe ebintu biri bitya, so that we are guided by information. There is a lot of hearsay, there is a lot of speculation. In Norway, katwale kala wali abana Uganda apiri. Wale kali onga lukumi. Wale kali emitwale na. So let us be guided by facts as we walk these journeys of communication and creating awareness. I want to thank you all, my dear panelists, Omukulu Peter Antende, Omukulu Mawanda Musa from the US, Omukulu Smogi John Remy from DK. Thank you so much for the time you've taken off to come and create awareness. What we all agree on is that for those who have the opportunity to participate in the electoral process, those who have the opportunity or even the muscle to appear on a ballot paper, please grab it. So maybe you're our light, you're our candle that will make a very huge impact and inspire masses. To you, our beloved hosts, viewers, we want to thank you so much. Thank you for always sparing time to come and interact with us and also give us a reason to carry on. My team, Euroforum Management, I want to thank you all. Janat Nagolola in Uganda, Narumu Irene in Uganda, Esther Nantongo in Uganda, Samantha Elf in Finland, Smogi John Remy, the gentleman here in Denmark, Nassali Jorin in Sweden, and Mr. Cassidy Fred in Georgia. Thank you for the work we do as a team. Let's keep the fire burning. And to your viewers, thank you all for always keeping us afloat. We appreciate those very amazing feedback you always give us. We've been live on both Facebook and YouTube. Take time and check out those different videos and shows we've had in the recent past. You might have checked out on our Facebook page, maybe for a particular show that has been months ago, even years ago, and you didn't find it. Maybe you haven't been yet aware, but there is a new regulation on Facebook that live videos that have, it was actually, I think, adopted in June, around there, that like this video is running now, after 30 days, it will be taken down. So we have, in case you don't find such a video, don't hesitate to visit our YouTube channel to find the same content there. There is so much there, videos as old as 5 years that will speak life into you. Again, I repeat that on the 17th, we shall be hosting Mofano Heretia, a Congolese who has been born and raised in Uganda, and has a very amazing profile, living currently in Norway. And on the 24th, we shall be hosting this very gentleman here, Omulangira Mawanda, who is a nurse practitioner. I'm told a nurse practitioner is one between a nurse and a doctor. But their area of expertise and service is what Omulangira Mawanda will open up to us. And then on the 31st, we shall be having Maureen Melody or Musumba Najita, living in Denmark, who will also be sharing her amazing story on how fast he made it in the space of less than 5 years. She turned tables around. How did she do it? That's the reason she'll be coming to share with us. Thank you so much. We sign up for now. This has been Euroforum, where we communicate with peers. Check out our TikTok page for the short clips of what has transpired on Euroforum. Bye-bye for now. Moses Mugisha here in Oslo, Norway. We sign out.
Welcome to Euroforum UG, where we address Ugandans from Europe, USA, Asia, Africa, Australia, and all over the globe. We share experiences, opinions, and expertise on current affairs, educative lifestyle, religion, and family matters. Follow, subscribe, and like our social media platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok at Euroforum UG. You can also join our live shows every weekend on our social media platforms. For more information, visit our social media platforms or email us at euroforumug@gmail.com or WhatsApp us on +4740 574040. Euroforum UG, communicating with peers.